Ya empezó. Good morning, dear classmate and tutor. My name is Andres Palacios Guayara, and I am studying bachelor degree in English.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Vargas. I'm 21 years old. And I study of foreign language.
Okay, the title about this podcast is Crimes Against Children in Colombia and the Death Penalty Law for their Murderers. Today, there with my colleague Aida and me, will present an opinion podcast on the topic of debate on the murder of children in Colombia and whether it's feasible to make a constitutional reform to the death penalty for homicide of our country. So, in this podcast, we'll have the various opinions of experts that will help us discuss the arguments against this process and whether it's really necessary to apply this law in Colombia. Specifically, we'll have the presence of the leader of the movement in favor of death penalty and Colombian sociologist and historian Carlos Fernando Pacheco. Without further ado, let's get started. A warning before start. This episode contains themes related to the murder. Extreme caution is advised for those under 13 years of age. This may contain sensitive stories. In 1998, Diego, a 10 years old boy from the department of Cauca, was found brutally murdered, raped, and later dismembered by his neighbor, who, according to these witnesses, had wanted to the boy for 2 years. Magdalena, the minor's mother, recounted that since they moved the neighborhood, Alexander, a neighborhood involved in the minor's mother case, have very friendly attitudes towards Diego, which didn't raise any suspicion on the part of the mother.
On the other hand, in 2010, the girl Sarah Sofia, under 8 years of age, was murdered by her father in the parliament of Cundinamarca. According to the criminal lieutenant, he reported that the minor was found in bed and stored in the refrigerator, whose confession by her father was to eat her meat in various ways. Now, these two cases that occurring in the different departments of Colombia let us to wonder if the murderers of these two children and of the many who gave been murdered really deserve the full weight of the law. In this case, the penalty of death for such cruel murders.
It's such. It's incredible hearing every day that our children are stalked in such a ruthless way and that their murderers are sentenced to a few years in prison. Finally, this leads us to analyze all these failures that occur in our country at the judicial level. Uh, in this that although, according to Julian Stephen Paez, a magistrate in charge of the Supreme Court of Justice, he has pronounced a few hours ago in response to the protest requirements of at the head of the leader Elsa Cecilia Spitia after 15 years of these cruel barbarities to children. For his part, the magistrate of the criminal chamber at the press conference held by the United Nations say that the acts of the mothers against children in Colombia in recent years should not go unpunished, and that the issue of legalizing the death penalty for those assassins will be subject of debate. In this, how we met today with the leader of the movement in favor of the death penalty, Elsa Cecilia. Mrs. Elsa Cecilia, good morning. After the demonstration presented on August 8th in favor of the death penalty, what can you say about the mother situation and what the magistrate has said before the United Nations about the death penalty for the mothers?
Good morning. Crimes against children must be punished to the fullest extent of the law. As Marcus Echandia said, I agree that the legal person and decrees that govern our country must guarantee the children before the state rights and legal wage, health and safety in the full graduates of the right to the light. So do I. If this case is not seen in a good way and favor the law, then the law is in us. Is in us.
Okay. So, in this case, do you think that the laws in favor of our children are not being fulfilled?
It is right. We live in a country that is more interested in the economy than the guarantee of life. Every day, many innocent children are murdered, and the only thing the judicial branch that has sentenced the murderer to a few years in prison. This class of sociopaths I desire to the sentence to the death if possible. We will go off every day to protest for the approval of the death penalty law. Our children respect each other.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cecilia.
On the other hand, we meet the opponent of the movement in favor of the death penalty, Carlos Fernando Pacheco. Mr. Carlos, good morning. According to what was started by Mrs. Elsa Cecilia, do you consider that these requirements are viable before the Supreme Court of Justice?
Okay, I got it, your answer. Good morning. No, I consider that they are hardly viable. We must get the Supreme Court to rule out the possibility of the death penalty as contrary to the human rights. I think that the prevalence of life granted by our political constitution must be given.
Mr. Carlos, we understand his point of view, but doesn't it seem unfair that a murderer cruelly kills a child and the law gives him a few years in prison?
Okay, the movement in favor of death penalty make the state override our laws in favor of life. However, the state doesn't agree with these requests. Neither do I. We don't want our Colombian society to be formed in a criteria of cruel and inhuman punishment. Our country must be formed in societies that know how to recognize the delicate and possible consequences of criminal law that entails breaking the civil norms of our country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carlos.
These opinions for and against the death penalty for murderers in Colombia lead the Supreme Court of Justice to create changes. If these acts have been committed by unscrupulous people and the system does not punish them, on the top of that there is not rule of penal code that favor our children, then the law is useless.
I agree. It is essential that our country take measures against the homicide, raising children, which increasing every year. Leaving us about neighboring countries such as Brazil and Uruguay.
So, in this context, binding agreements must be created so that lives are not taken, but they lead us to live in a country worth living without fear of being killed.
At the end of everything, life is in an inspiration club must be a guarantee to create society. On the other hand, our society leads us to ask ourselves where is the real problems in the voice of the human being in the few ordinances promulgated by the government.
Okay, all this question must be clarified. I think that is the better option for the government. I believe that it's necessary to go to the international order since the measure given by the local government are really insufficient. Uh, and you, dear listener, what is your opinion on this issue?
We'll see you in the next podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.